All right, good night and welcome to Just a Conversation. Tonight you have none other than Minister Mon, Brother Matthew, and I'm Minister Hayden. And don't forget to hop on over to our YouTube page. This is Just a Conversation. Don't forget to subscribe. Also, when coming in, don't forget to share this program out. It's been an awesome week. It's been an awesome week, bro.
Yeah.
Man, I was checking out this clip. I sent it to you guys about with Kanye West, man, and I don't know. What do you think?
Kanye in church.
Hey, remember when in the Bible, when the disciple was trying to go against the people and Jesus is like, listen, they doing what we trying to do. So,
yeah,
what do you think, man?
I'm gonna be honest. It's like I'm not gonna judge
Mm.
because I'm no better than him.
Mm.
At the end of the day, it's like my ego is huge. Like in certain place at certain times.
Mm.
So it's like I could definitely see where he's coming from with the ego thing, but at the same time,
You think he has the ego? I don't think
What?
so. I don't think he has the ego.
okay.
Okay. I'm just saying I don't think so.
Oh, okay. We all could agree to disagree,
Mm.
but for me, I can't judge him. It's like if God's truly using him, let God use him. But if God's not using him, well, God will deal with that.
But I don't see him preaching per se. He's more like
No,
of
he
the
wasn't.
he's more of the music part.
Yeah.
You know, and he says like a couple words, you know, but the thing that I look at is like I look at the when he had that mental breakdown. He had he looked totally different now.
Yeah.
You know, back then he looked like he was like gone. He had that mental breakdown and he went through it. And then looking at him now, like even though like people are like criticizing him and talking all this stuff about him, I'm looking at him like he's actually come around. You know, so
That's what I say. You can't judge a person. Man.
you can't judge a book by its cover. So even though he had that mental breakdown, when you look at him now, I'm looking like a totally different person.
Yeah.
Even though people might be saying, "Oh, it's because of Kanye West," you know, it's this and that, whatever. To me, God can use anybody.
Of course.
So it doesn't matter if it's Kanye West, if it's Fantasia, whoever it is. You know, God can use anybody. But it's like if you look at somebody, if you looked at him like 6 months ago, when he was in rehab and all this, going through what he was going through, and look at him now, you're like, it has to be something. It has to be a difference.
Yeah, because how I look at it, it reminds me of two people, Saul and the prodigal son. Because his mom did teach him about the Bible before she passed. So he does know the word. All right, I don't know to what extent. That's not my place. Again, because I'm not where a lot of people who are pastors' kids should be. Who they it's like I'm not that person. It's like we seen it consistently through the thing because I'm like I mix up people, but at the same time it's like sometimes they just have to go through certain things in order, like, you know what, guys, just when they reach that low point or that just you don't even have to reach a low point because you don't have to be financially out of it in order to reach that low point, but mentally not be there. And it's like, who do you turn to? Because if money's not working, the talent that you have is not working. The person you married, the people that you have in your circle is not like helping. What else is there? You see me? So I'm like, I respect the fact that he's like, you know what? Let me turn my life back to God. I've been and I've done a lot of things, but at the same time, it's like, let me turn my life back to God. And I was like, I respect that. So,
what you think, Minister Man?
I just think that if Kanye is just in a place right now where he feels like he needs to do it, but he's really not dedicated to doing it all the way, then it could lead a lot of people astray.
Okay.
And you know, everyone's gonna have their high moments and their good and their good times, and everyone's gonna have their low moments and their bad times. But if in your bad moment and your bad times, if you like, you got to understand that it's people like in a magnitude with Kanye looking at him and following him,
exactly,
watching his every move. So you have to understand that, you know, these people are really looking up to him right here, and he could make a lot of people fall, or he could make a lot of people do right.
Yeah, but I've noticed his track record, and he's like a workaholic. So
Yeah,
it's
he
like
is.
anytime he put his energy,
His work
into
ethic
something,
is
Yeah.
magnificent.
it's to the point where it's a little bit like, yo, you eat?
Yeah,
His
but
Because
work
it's
ethic
like,
is magnificent. I gotta
yeah.
give him that.
So that's why I'm like, when he actually got,
Ethic.
yeah, his work ethic is like, it's on that level where it's like, when he actually decides to do something, it's like, he does not like subpar work.
Mhm.
Even his beats, even when he makes some trash lyrics, that beat is on another level. Oh, we were talking about Kanye, so.
Oh, okay.
We're pretty much talking about his mental breakdown, which he had like about 6 months ago when he had rehab, and and to see the transition now, like, can somebody really overcome like a mental breakdown?
You can. It's totally possible. With everything that I teach or anything, whenever I speak about mental health, I always have to let people know that recovery is possible. Because you always want to give people hope. But yeah, I personally have suffered from mental breakdowns, mental health disorders. I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder and generalized anxiety disorder. And actually over the summer I had a really bad bout with it, and I overcame it. I feel like it depends on your coping mechanisms, depends on what you have around you, your foundation. My foundation, of course, is God. And,
So that's how you overcame it?
Not just that. There's different things. It depends on who's around you. I think positive self-talk is really important. Just yesterday, I had to sit there and just be like in the morning, like thoughts started overcoming me. I was like, like, I guess negative thoughts. And I'm like, before I even got out the bed, I'm like, everything's going to be fine. This is not the end all be all. It's okay. Just get up, start your day. It's going to be okay. Like it's a new day. You have to kind of put positive thoughts when those, I guess we're all Christian here. So when the enemy starts to fill your head up with negative thoughts, you have to fight back with positive thoughts. He don't like that. So you have to do that. So that's another way of overcoming it. So I am a firm believer in the fact that you can overcome mental breakdowns. We're talking about Kanye now. You got to understand, you got to talk about, you got to take into consideration what he's been through over the years. I'm not just saying, I'm not justifying anything that, I'm not justifying his behavior, but not only going through mental health disorders, but like, my own personal journey, but learning about it. I teach about it. So I teach about mental health as well. So I was able to get another perspective on it. And I'm just like, everything has like, there's always a root to something. Somebody doesn't just wake up in the morning and want to be a certain way. You don't just wake up and be like, I want to act out of order, out of conduct or whatever. I want to put this tweet on Instagram. I mean, not tweet on Instagram. Tweet on Twitter. See, I don't have Twitter. I don't, you don't just act out of character for no reason. There's always a root to everything. He lost his mother. You know what I'm saying? That was his everything. I don't know if his dad was ever present in his life, but that was his everything. And then I'm sure it kills him that his mother can't even see his kids grow up or didn't even go to his wedding and stuff. There's just different things that he went through throughout the years, the world looking down on him. He went through a dark, phase in his life.
Wouldn't you call that like somebody like beating up themselves?
Kanye?
Yeah.
Beating up
like
himself?
If you like you said, he lost his mom and stuff like that, and then like, don't you think he's like beating up himself, like, where he's just bringing that pressure on him more? No,
I don't think so. So are we all creatives at this table? Do I have a lot of creatives here?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so
watch this one.
So as creatives, and Kanye is a major creative.
That's what he is.
Now, let me first give him his credit. Kanye has paved the way for a lot of people. Kanye has produced some of the greatest tracks. He is an amazing artist, regardless of what he's done. You know what I'm saying? And how do I say this? So as creatives, we go through a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're still trying to stay grounded and create and everything, but you're going through your own personal battles and stuff. I feel like creatives, not that no one else goes through it the most, but I feel like it's common for creatives to go through things like this. We have creative blocks, and then we have, depression and all that stuff. So, like I said, Kanye's been through a lot. Like, there are things I'm just like, all right, yeah, he should seek help. And I think he has been seeking help, And imagine being in the public eye. He's dating, his wife is Kim Kardashian. She doesn't have a positive, reputation. Now she definitely does. She's paving her own way. Her whole family's paving her own way. Yeah, she, the way she got famous was not, a good start, but she's opening her own, you know what I'm saying? She's doing her thing. Mm-hmm. She is, but the Kardashians have a negative, reputation and whatnot, regardless. So imagine Kanye joining them. And then he also technically lost Jay-Z as a friend. You know what I'm saying? Jay-Z and Beyonce, they didn't really want any parts in that. So there's just a lot of things you guys have to, really consider as to his behavior. I feel like he will overcome things. I feel like he will eventually overcome it. But one thing I pride him for, I'm happy about. He does keep God in his life though. Mm-hmm. He's like, I don't really stay in tune with I think he does like this church thing or whatnot on Sunday.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. I think that's cool. And I think even his daughter got into it. North got into it one time. Like she started singing or something. I think that was really cool, cute, whatever. But I recently heard something. Is it true that he's like quitting secular music or something? Is it true? Like he's,
I don't know about all that.
I think he's quitting secular music.
He said he's gonna do a lot more like Jesus music.
Yeah, so I think that's what I heard recently.
I mean, that's hard to tell.
I don't say into the news like that. I don't really get into all that stuff.
I just think Kanye, it's hard to tell with him because he's really he lets a lot of his emotions run him. And
Absolutely.
I think that, like we were mentioning before, like I was mentioning before, if he is going to take on this public eye, this spotlight, this image, and he wants to be a leader, you can't be wishy-washy with the people because they're going to follow you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, if you're going to get into a certain thing and you're going to get a lot of, bullets or things coming your way, you got to be prepared for it in a way. You got to be prepared. If you're going to try and wear the crown, you got to be prepared for some people coming at the crown. And I think sometimes, as he shows his unpreparedness to where you always, just like you say, he's a creator. He always has to be thinking about ways to, create ways to defend that crown, to defend people from coming at him because they're going to come when he's on top. He talks about it. He brags about it but then you got to be prepared for when you get low and when everyone is leaving you away. Everyone is, like David. When everyone was leaving David, he got prepared. He had to get into to the cave. He had to flee for his life. He had to just take what was given him and just hit it and go. And then he had to build back up from the ground. And I think that was one thing. If you read the Psalms, you'll see David's lows and you'll see his highs. And it's how you deal with the lows, not just with the highs. And I think that has a lot to do with it because if you take a spot where you're gonna put yourself on the throne and you're not ready for them bullets that's coming at you, and you're not ready for the people that's coming for the crown, it's gonna be hard on you when they come.
Let me ask a question. You don't think some of his behavior has to do with like crying out for attention?
I don't know.
Crying out for help, not attention. Pardon me. Help. No, sorry, that was the wrong word. Help.
Well, you think of the status is that like where Kanye is at, like even if he's crying out for help, I don't think anybody's around him gonna really like step in that area. You have people around you that's not gonna be like that person to say, "Yo, bro, listen, like I'm gonna take you to the psychiatrist," and they're gonna be like, "Nah, he's all right," or keep trying to like push drinks to him or whatever it is.
About, like, R. Kelly, it's like, what's good?
Say it again.
You can say the same thing about R. Kelly or Michael Jackson or whoever.
Yeah, like people are gonna tell him like, "Yo, what you doing is wrong."
But here's the crazy thing, right? We forgot one main thing. We have a lovely what's her name? Guest here. Her name is
Ashley Bianca
Jones.
There you go.
Yes.
All right, and can you like tell us a little bit about yourself? So
I just stepped
the
right
audience,
in. So
she had a flow in her, like a river.
That was a good like part of the conversation. I won't lie. Normally I'm typically shy, but
really,
no, not really.
Okay.
My name is Ashley Bianca Jones, and I'm a mental health advocate, event curator, creative director. So I wear many hats, but I'm a creative, like I mentioned previously. Mm-hmm. Mental health is one of my passions, simply because I went through it, and I went through it since I was a kid. Just a long journey. It's been really it's been really rewarding and really challenging. God certainly he turned my pain into purpose. I want to say that, as I think that's what he normally does.
That's true.
He normally does, and I'm just like, one day I'm like, God, you want me to be in the mental health field? Me? I just went through depression and anxiety. Like, I had suicidal thoughts. Like, you want me to help the people? Really? And he's like, yep. So I always knew, like, I always had a heart for people, to help people. When I was little, I wanted to be a pediatrician. I didn't become one, but I remember, I'm like, okay, so there was a reason why I wanted to become a pediatrician when I was little, because I wanted to help people. So I'm just like, okay. So later on, maybe like, so I mean, my childhood, I guess I went through, you know, I was bullied. Didn't really have friends like that. Yeah, that was kind of like my background, and I even had suicidal thoughts as early as 6th grade. So didn't really get help like that because, you know, I grew up in a Caribbean household. So that's another conversation. But my mom was Americanized, but at the same time, the resources that we have today, we didn't have that back then. When I was in middle school, elementary school, we had the school counselor.
I don't let people think you're that old.
Wait, you had a counselor?
Guidance counselor, bro.
There was a thing like that?
The school counselor.
Yeah.
The school counselor.
When I was in high school, it was called the guidance counselor.
I'll be honest, I never...
You never went to the guidance counselor?
You never went to the guidance counselor when they exist.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm 27.
Yeah.
So when I was in elementary school, we had that.
The same here. Yeah. And it's like, you know, like 90% of my faculty.
You just didn't utilize the system.
But you live with a pastor, so you good, man.
Okay.
You got your counselor at home.
So did you utilize the services, the guidance counselors and things like that? Or you're saying
I don't remember. Like maybe I tried, but I don't remember how successful it was. Clearly it wasn't that successful because I grew up, and high school was okay. High school was actually 11th to 12th grade was better. I don't think I really went through any mental problems then.
So who did you confide in if you didn't confide in the guidance counselor? Who was your second?
At what age? Like elementary school-ish?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just asking, like, if like you said that you had the guidance counselors, but they really didn't do much, or
I didn't have friends, so I was young. So
and then your parents were off limits too.
They were very oblivious to it. They didn't understand. They just know I was going through something. I told my mom I was being bullied. She handled that, and they tried to put me in ballet. I have 2 left feet, and that didn't work. Nah, I mean I got some moves now, but back then they tried to put me in ballet. Every parent's like, "Oh, put her in ballet."
Like, she said she got some moves then.
No. Depends what you play. Depends on what you're playing.
So did that help you cope, ballet?
No. I would act out in ballet. Like I was like, "Mom, look at me." I wanted attention growing up, but I'm sorry. Let me fully introduce myself, and then I'll get back into that. I veer off sometimes. So at this very moment, like I said, I'm a mental health advocate. My advocacy work consists of retreats. I just recently hosted a mental wellness retreat, a half-day retreat. It was really awesome for Mental Health Awareness Month. Every month I have an event called the Communion, and it's a gathering where we could just come together and discuss the importance of mental health and like give people a safe space to freely discuss what they're going through or important topics. This month actually, we brought the moms together. I'm not a mother, but I've been getting a lot of inquiries like, hey, do you guys talk about postpartum depression? Do you talk about such and such? And I'm like, man, that's important. So I'm like, all right, do you guys want that? I did something on Instagram or whatnot. I posted something. They're like, yes. All the moms like came out, even people who weren't mothers. And I was like, I can't talk about it, but I have somebody who can. So I partnered up with a therapist, a female therapist, really awesome. She's a maternal therapist, really awesome. Her name's Natasha of Bay Life Counseling. And she really did her thing. And
IG?
So it's at Bay Life _wellness. She's awesome. Just go on her Instagram and learn more about her. There's nothing she cannot do. She's been through so much, and she has a testimony on her. And God also used her pain as purpose as well. So I had that recently. We had yoga. I even said, hey, bring your kids 3 and under. Not the 4-year-old, 3 and under. And it was so cute.
Wait, 3 and under is good.
I mean, normally I said 2 and under because, terrible 2s and stuff like that. But people are like, my son is 3 years old. And I'm like, bring your son. So we had that. That was awesome. Actually, in June, I had a Men's Health Month one. I had a male panel, and it was really awesome. Male therapist, 2 fathers. We discussed fatherhood. And I even chimed in at the end because I'm like, I let the men do their thing. And there was some ladies there that talked too because, they even have boyfriends or, stuff like that, or they just simply want to understand the male perspective. So I even spoke about my daddy issues because my dad was in and out of my life. And, that affected me, and my dad and I are not on speaking terms. So I'm like, let me just tell them where I'm coming from as far as this goes too, So, like I said, I just host these gatherings every month, and I just love it. It gets better and better each month, and it's just so beautiful to see people just come out and just and speak, and just really speak their truth and just feel like they have somewhere to really just, like I said, speak,
For somebody that's suffering from like mental like health, it's good for them to speak about it.
Absolutely.
And let it out.
Talk therapy is awesome.
I got a question for you. You said something that kind of scratching on my head and I can't let it go.
What?
You said earlier some in regards to I've reached a point where I'm able to deal with it, or in a sense I'm overcoming my depression. I had moments here and there where it's heavy, and then other times where it's like
really easy.
It's easy,
yeah.
And other times it's like, okay, whatever. Keep pushing, right? And you said I have my own mechanisms that I use in order to overcome my situation, but at the same time, I can't really say that I've fully overcome, because it's like for me, at least it's a daily fight. Mm-hmm. So it's like even when it gets really heavy, I read my Bible, and sometimes I just need to move myself out of certain spaces in order to deal. So I can never really say that I truly overcame it. I just know how to deal with it. Like, for instance, if you got AIDS, I feel I'm not saying it's the same thing, but it's like, to me, it's like once you got it, it's like it's hard to for it to completely get rid of it.
If you got what?
Don't worry about it.
Did I hear that right?
You can definitely listen.
It's not curable.
It's like I don't feel like it's curable. It's just something that you learn and deal with.
It is. It's a day by day thing, like you said.
I agree to an extent. I agree because, like I said, I still go through it. I'm still able to get up and speak, and host my events. I made sure, for example, the Suicide Prevention Month gathering I just had September, I stood in front of everybody and I said, guys, this gathering almost didn't happen because I was experiencing suicidal thoughts, and one day I'm just like, I need to do this. Like, that is my fuel that gets me out of situations sometimes. I have to be real with the people. People look to me because I host these events. They're like, wow, you go through your own stuff and you're so strong. And I'm like, but guys, I can't stress to you that I don't want to paint myself to be this person that's this huge overcomer and just so strong and I don't go through this stuff anymore. No, I just went through this a few weeks ago, but I stood up. I'm here standing in front of you guys. I need to be real with you, and I need to tell you that I'm still human at the end of the day. I'm here to help you guys and give you those resources that you need while still helping myself. You know what I'm saying? There was a gathering that did not happen, I think, over the summer, July and August. There was no gatherings. Generally, I take July off to travel. But August, it was supposed to be a gathering. I was so deep into depression. I don't like to claim that anymore over my life. Not just in a spiritual aspect, but because I've done such a great job fighting it off of me. You know what I'm saying? Because these gatherings and everything I do in mental health, speaking to students at schools, just different things that I do in the mental health community, it helps me. So I still go through it. You can deal with it, you can learn to live with it. You can be in recovery. But sometimes it doesn't go away. Some people it goes away for them. But for me, I still go through it. And it's hard. The negative thoughts, I have to give myself a pep talk in the morning. Like, I'm a huge overthinker. I will overthink. Do I want to go on the first floor? Do I want to go on the second floor? Okay, I want to go on the first floor. Yeah.
It's always battling in your mind.
All right, you was touching on some areas like.
So does it affect does your mental capacity or your depression? Does that affect any relationship? So basically, it kind of kills your mood. So say for instance, if you're out somewhere and it's a fun evening, and say for instance that comes on, does it affect
fun evening? Is music involved? Then I feel no ways.
You feel no ways.
What did Bob Marley say? One good thing about music: when it hits, you feel no pain. Yeah. That's what I live by.
Okay.
That's my favorite quote, And it's true because I love music. I love dancing. I love old school music. You know, I'm very in tune with my culture. So I love my, music from my culture and stuff. When I go out and there's music, live music or reggae or compa or something, or just old school music or just music in general, I don't feel that anymore. I'm in a good mood. It just I could be going through the worst of the worst.
The music gets you through it.
It does, because it's like, especially when you find relatable music, like, and I just realized that quote is my favorite quote now because I started listening to it like over the summer a lot. I know that song, you know what I'm saying? But Trench Town Rock, I've always listened to it. But I'm just like, man, it's true though. When you hear a song that you can relate to or just that gets you through, you don't feel that for that moment. You feel good in that moment.
Cause like me, like if I'm in a moment where like I'm just like down, I listen to down music.
Sometimes I do that.
And it's kind of like sometimes I have to catch myself because it's like bringing me down lower and
Like
lower and lower. I'm like
the blues.
Yeah, not like the blues, but I go back to like
like
you are everything, like them kind of music, like back into the 70s. And like I gotta catch myself and be like, no, let me come out of this because I just feel myself going down more.
Man, the 50s.
I don't know about all the 50s, bro.
Yeah, the 50s has good music.
That and like some country.
Yeah,
I listen to worship music when I'm feeling like
that's my big
down, because it's like there'll be times where I go a little bit without listening to worship music and I'm like, I have to return back to the source. So I listen to worship music.
Right.
And you know what? I quickly want, if it's okay, I want to touch up on something because you mentioned earlier that you read your Bible and you do this and you do that. But have you guys ever heard just pray about it?
Yep.
Oh, I do that at nights.
We hear that.
Just pray about it. But how many people know that? Yeah, you could pray about it, and prayer does work. Prayer does work, but
faith without works is dead.
Right, exactly. You got to do your work too. And a lot of people, they say, just pray about it. God will get you through. He absolutely will get you through, but you got to do your work too. Maybe God is pushing you to go see a therapist. There's nothing wrong with seeing a therapist. You know what I'm saying? Maybe God is pushing you to go get the help that you need. Maybe he's pushing you to speak to someone, even if it's not a therapist or something, but just come out with it. Like, hey, I'm going through a hard time. So it's just like, there's been like a stigma on that, in the church too, like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. Like, just pray about it.
Yeah, because it's just like the same thing. Like, if you have, like, say, injury, like your leg or whatever, and you have surgery, you have to do therapy afterwards. So if you're gonna lay it on there and be like, then it's never gonna get better, or you're never gonna have the full 100% use like you had before.
Absolutely.
But when you get up there and start working it and using it, that's why it says accessing or utilizing your faith. When faith without works is dead. Right. So people do say, just pray about it. Okay, I'm gonna pray about it, and then what? That's where a lot of people, I think, need education on, because you can't just tell somebody just to pray. You have to say, listen, pray on it, hear what the Lord is saying, act on it. So if you're praying to the Lord about something, like the Bible says, my sheep know my voice. So if you're hearing him and he's saying, listen, do X, Y, Z, get up and do it.
Yeah, mental health is just as serious as your physical health. Like, your mental health can affect your physical health, and people don't realize that. Like, a lot of people don't realize that. Like, you don't just say, for example, let's say I have a stomach ache. You know how to treat that. Go, or no, I have a headache. You take some Tylenol, you take some, whatever, ibuprofen. But when people say, I have depression, what do you do? When someone tells you, hey, I have depression, hey, I have anxiety, what do you tell them to do? We have the remedy for everything. You have the home remedies you got the tea for you have a cold. Oh, we got the tea for you, the honey, the lemon, all that stuff. But
what you're saying isn't that kind of like treating the symptom instead of, like you said before, instead of treating the root problem? Like, so if there's a mental problem or there's a problem going on, isn't there a mental root? So, and like as you were saying, you got to affirm some things sometimes. And you got to break down and break through what is really the root of what's causing the problem.
Absolutely.
Like you said, yours was and that's what it does take, that acknowledgement. You said the attention. You were seeking attention.
Yeah, I mean, I was crying out for help. I was crying out for help growing up, yes.
And that's, I think...
I didn't have anybody growing up, like I didn't have friends. I was bullied. I was rejected often. So I carried that into my adulthood without realizing that until I went to therapy.
Yeah, and then, and like you said, then sometimes like the social groups, even though you were around people, that didn't work. Or sometimes you were speaking to the counselor and that didn't work. So even though you wanted attention, you were getting attention, but you probably weren't getting the attention that you wanted. So you probably weren't getting the solution for the initial root cause of the problem. And like when you really do understand that, like I don't want to discredit prayer, but a lot of people just think prayer. Sometimes people just take prayer as a wish list. Lord, I want this. Lord, I want that. Lord, I want that. And they don't get a relationship with God. They don't commune with God. It doesn't go back and forth. And I think when you go to the Lord with a wish list and say this is what I want. What about what He wants? You
have to seek His will, and definitely.
And I think that's the root. I think that's the ultimate root of it. When you understand like what you were saying, like ministry is so powerful because God uses one stone and He'll kill two birds with it. So your problem, you can get up and you can have a problem and you can minister to people and you'll fix their problems and God will fix your problem.
Right.
And I think a lot of people don't understand and realize that. And we become, I don't want to say that we're selfish, but we'll start thinking about our problems
more than anything else.
Yeah, than helping the other person out. Mm-hmm. And it don't work like that because God will be like, okay, I'm gonna let you help that person out. But if you feeling selfish, you ain't gonna get the help you need. And that person gonna get the help they need. And I think that's what happens a lot of times. It's sad to say. Like we always say that verse, that scripture, Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. Yeah, seek ye first God and His kingdom, and all your needs will be added unto you. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people miss the interpretation of it. We got to go
straight to God with their needs and stuff.
And we gotta be like, God, I love you, God.
Acknowledge Him.
It's your needs first before mine, and He'll give you everything you need after that. I'm like even with David. What I was saying was David was running for his life, mm-hmm. and he left without everything. He didn't have food. He didn't have his weapon. He just left for his life. And by the time he got to the cave where he was, there was 400 men that was in distress, that was in debt, and that was discomforted. And they asked David to be the captain of them. While David was in the same situation. He was distressed, running for his life. He was discomforted. And he was in debt. How he got out of his hole was he had to help them 400 men out of their hole. That's how ministry works. And like I say, for David to even be in charge of 400 men, think about it. When all the wives got stolen,
from the Amalekites,
they wanted to kill him.
They did.
So when you put yourself on the throne as the king,
the same man he was fighting with wanted to take his own life.
Those you're in the spotlight now, mm-hmm. And if that's your bout, that's what's going to come for your crown. Mm-hmm. And that's why I say like
his own son wanted his crown. Remember Absalom?
That's what I'm saying.
He was running from Absalom.
Once you make up your mind to say I'm gonna take on this that, like the guy we was talking about that was officiating the funeral for the lady that committed suicide.
A couple hours later, he committed suicide.
That was the demon that came for him. Yeah. That was the spirit that came to take him. Because now you messing with you messing with like if I'm the principality or if I'm feeding off these souls and getting powerful. Right. Now you messing with my business.
So I'm coming after you.
Yeah, you are you ready for me to come after you? And that's what we take on as ministers. And that's why I say if Kanye's in a place to lead, you can't be up 1 minute then down the next minute. Yeah, because you wishy-washy.
It reminds me of like Vegas. 1 minute he was singing gospel songs because he was saved, and then now he went right back to the secular world. I never understood that.
You got to get all the way strong.
Yeah.
You got to.
Because
Mr. Vegas?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know he went to gospel.
Yeah, he went to gospel because he had almost died at one point. And then he went to gospel and started singing all these gospel songs. And then he went right back to the secular world. But then you look at like Lady Saw, and she's in there full force right now going hard. You got Papa San that's still in there, and they still going strong. So
if you got to,
Charlene Davis, quite a few of them that's still in there. But yeah, you can't be. Even what's name did that? Mace.
Oh, yeah.
Mace, Mace went to gospel and he went right back.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're gonna be all in, 100%.
You have to.
And you can't say like, oh, you're gonna mess with your money because you're singing gospel, because Tasha Cobb's singing gospel and she's doing it. She's making it.
Yeah.
You know, Ty Trebek, them, they're making it. So you can't say, oh, because you converted your life. You know, the Bible says, let the Redeemer of the Lord say so. So if he's redeeming you and you're gonna do it, to me, do it 100%. You know, just like you said, let your pain be your purpose. Yeah. You know, and a lot of us went through some stuff. A lot of us went through some pain, and you know, we're acting on it, and we're trying to make the best of it. You know, to help people get through stuff. You know, is it always going to be right? Are you always going to get open welcome with arms wide open? No, but you got to understand that's part of it. You know, and I mean, kudos for you and Sister Donna that was here last week. You know, she went through the same thing, battling suicide when she was young. Yeah. And she said that's what she helps now. She helps a lot of people that's going through the suicide walk and stuff like that. I personally can't tell nobody. If somebody called me like, yo, I'm thinking about taking my life, I'm be like, bruh.
Well, see,
please don't put me on the spot like that. But I know, believing in the God I believe in, he will give me the unction to deal with that person or talk to that person. You know, but if you want to talk to me on like a level, like I could talk to anybody about alcohol or, you know, the street life or stuff like that. It's easy for me, but sometimes you are going to get tested with some hard stuff.
I mean, but isn't that a way also of taking your life? Like we really don't think about like that bout it attitude. Like sometimes you to the place where you don't care about what you do, and that'll give you 25 to life. Yeah. Or that'll get you killed. Yeah. So I mean, you still can be in a place where you was like, man, I got nothing to lose, I don't care, and you to the place where it's suicide, and you don't understand it might be a different kind of suicide than somebody just slitting their wrist or something. But the
different form.
Yeah, but the things that we do, because I mean, we used to live a kind of way where we was like, man, it's whatever. It's whatever. Yeah, what you want to do?
It's on. Let's go. Yeah. I was watching the movie the other day, and I told myself I was gonna watch it. I finally like sat down and watched it. I never saw the movie Ma. No. It's like where she found like a bunch of young kids and she bought them alcohol and they come by the house. But she was struggling with like this mental thing from when she was young, because she was in high school with, like, say for instance, like the son, his dad, she liked his dad back in high school. Yeah. And they like did like some crazy stuff, which I ain't gonna talk about, and like embarrassed her. Yeah. You know, she traveled with that until she got to adult age. And then she ended up killing the father. You know what I mean? She ended up killing like even like the girls she went to school with that was picking on her, like the pretty ones. She ended up killing all of them. Almost killed the kids, like everyone, the kids that associate with those parents. Wow. You know, she had them locked down into like a basement, locked the door.
She was trying to wipe out everything.
She was trying to wipe out everything. And then at the end of the movie, I saw like, yo, this woman is mentally sick, because at the end of the movie, the girl, she stabbed her in the back. And then she walked upstairs, and the kid's father was on the bed because she slit his wrist. And she slit his wrist and did something else and had him bleed out. And then she just went up there and laid beside him. And the house was on fire. And that's like, oh, like, yo, you got some serious mental issue right there. You do something like that. Yeah. But that's like, yo, like, people that's going through like some crazy stuff. And it's like, I don't know, man. It's like, I mean,
but like you were saying, there was a root to it.
And there is a root to it.
And she was trying to kill everything, every remembrance of the root. But she was just trying to kill the symptoms.
Exactly.
Instead of killing the root.
But we do the same thing as human beings.
Yeah, we do.
You know, because it's just like, I used to like, because like even like the other day I was talking to my father and he was like, what's up, Chappie? You're not good? I said, nah, man, I'm good. Chappie. And I was like, that's what my father called me. So I was like, bro, you know why I used to like really drink and all that? Because I had so much stuff inside my mind that I just want to like, whenever it hits me, I found that to be my comfort. You know, instead of finding Jesus to be my comfort, I was like, man, that's it. This thing is hitting me right now, so I go drink. And then I just start forgetting all that stuff. You know, and then I find myself back in that place. So I'm like, okay, I'm good. You know, and then like people don't ever understand. Like, that's why I don't blaspheme people. I don't talk about people.
No,
because
you can't.
Until you face what somebody else face,
that's it.
How dare you talk about them?
That's it.
You don't know what I've seen in my life coming up. You know, so when you tell me like, oh man, you drink too much or da back then, it's like, okay, you can say what you want, but I know exactly why I do it. Yeah. You know, because I know exactly what I was facing. And until you walk down that road, until you've been through, until you've seen some stuff that people have seen, I mean, that's you can't just like judge them like that.
No, you can't.
You know, because you have some great people in this world that's like, they've seen some stuff, but because they know that they've seen it and it bothers them mentally, you know, they find the only way I can get rid of it is by doing whatever they do. You know, some people pop pills, some people do whatever they do. So it's like, who am I to talk about you? You know, it's just like, you know, I was talking to this this cat at work, and he's like, man, I was coming to work, and this cat asked me for $1, and he's like, listen, man, he gave it to him. He said, man, if I give him $5, I said, why? He's like, bro, let me tell you something. I've never slept on the street.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is like. Maybe that man need $5 to go buy 2 6-packs or whatever to get him through the night. That's like, bro, you are so right, because how dare us cast judgment on them?
That's it.
You know, when we have never been in that place. Have you ever been homeless? You don't know what it's like to sleep out there. You know what I mean? So I was like looking at it like, bro, you know, that's so true. But that's what, to me, like Christians, man, like, to me, a lot of Christians just beat you the Bible, you know, and I think that's right until you have to sit down and listen to what the person is saying. Just like how you saying, like, you didn't get that attention. You know, somebody that sat there and listened to what you're saying and understand what you're saying, and they'd be like, okay, this is how we're going to try and fix it or try and overcome it. You know, but nobody, to me, like, a lot of people don't do that. You know, that's like you say, they say, go pray about it. I'm going to pray about it, and then what? But I'm in a mental state where even if I'm praying, I'm not hearing God. Yeah. How am I going to hear God? Like, if I'm going through something and you're like, yo, D, don't do it, bro. I'm not even hearing you.
No, of course not.
Because my mind is already, like, in a place where it's like, I'm going to do it regardless. Yeah. And you're like, D, don't do it, bro. No, you have to get my attention. And that's sometimes what God has to do. So when you tell somebody to go pray about it, you got to say, listen, pray to God about it. I'm here for you. Call me. But if you're hearing something in your mind, like, say, listen, like, not nothing negative. Because if you're hearing the negative, trust me, you're hearing the positive. Because I used to always say, just like when you're growing up, you know, you had the angel here and the devil here. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, go ahead, you be all right. And the angel's like, nah, don't do it. Yeah. You know, you have to listen to both voices and understand which one you're going to react to. Yeah. You know, and react to that angel. And then try to get yourself out of it. You know, and then that's how to me you try to overcome a lot of stuff. You know, that's what got me through a lot of stuff. I still hear the negative thoughts, but then I'm more focused on the positive. You know, because I understand that's what's gonna get me through it. Because like just like you're driving, somebody cuts you off, you're like, yo, Virgin, just want to take like something like back in the day I used to take pennies and throw at their cars. Yeah. And you're like, yo, just throw it. Like, nah, I ain't gonna do that no more. What if I throw it at the car as a cop? You know what I mean? Because you don't know what they're driving nowadays.
Or you could throw it at a car and somebody just pull out and pull out a trigger on you.
You never know.
But the thing I'm trying to say is, like what you said, like wisdom, right? And once you know, like a lot of times we go to the doctor and the doctor asks us what's wrong. And he's looking for symptoms. But he's not telling us the understanding behind the pill that he's giving us, the medication or whatever. And it could cause a chemical imbalance in us.
That's right.
And it could cause other things to pop up in us and give us more issues than what we have.
Absolutely.
So a lot of times what I'm trying to say is we have not the understanding of the initial root of the problem that we're dealing with. Like even the guest last week we had on the show, she said, you know, she just wanted attention, right? And then she started talking about suicide. And then suicide became the real problem. Yeah. Wasn't that she wanted attention anymore. So you see what she did. Basically, she had a need. She I'm not gonna say she misdiagnosed the root or whatever it was, but she didn't get what she needed to. And then she brought up another thing, suicide. Now she had another problem.
Bigger problem.
So now everything is spiraling now. Now what you gonna do when things start spiraling? When you start getting all these medications and you still ain't get the root fixed. Yeah. Now, what all you had to do was, and I'm not saying it's easy, but all you had to do was get the wisdom behind what was really going on with you, and then understand why it was going on. And you would have had a better chance of fixing the problem than not having the understanding and you trying this and you trying just because. People pray just because. They don't understand how to pray, but they pray just because. And then they get another problem because they pray, they ask for what they want, and the Lord's like, you keep on asking me for that, I'm going to give it to you, and we're going to see if that helps you out.
I was curious about something real quick, because I want to turn back to our guest, Ashley Bianca Jones. All right?
Bro, you got bad memory.
Hey, God bless. All right? So my question is, like, you said earlier that you overthink. So how do you, like, because I know I suffer with the same kind of issue when it comes to that, where sometimes I overthink things to the point where they're like, just write it down or just do it. And it takes me a while before I'm like, all right, I reach that point. I'm like, yeah, just do it. So what actually, because I know that you said that you have all these different hats. So as this entrepreneur, I said it right?
Yeah, you
said it right. Businesswoman, how do you say, make that decision, like, all right, I'll do this, instead of just overthinking, like, oh, think about it. I know you think about the pros and cons, but to just get out of your head and then just
do it.
Do it.
See, my issue before was, well, and sometimes to this day, but not as bad as before, I would seek other people's approval. So let's say if I got an idea, God gave me an idea, something came about, oh, I want to do this. I'd go to somebody for their approval to see what they thought about my idea. Then I'd seek multiple opinions, and that would deter me from what I wanted to do. So if I thought it was a great idea, then all of a sudden the idea became, oh, no, this is a little, I don't know about it, because I went to too many people for opinions.
That's it.
So what I do now is I like, I'll see how I feel about it, about the, what I want to do. And maybe I'll go to chosen few. You have to be careful. It's okay to go to certain people. What do they say? Seek wise counsel or whatnot. Like, it's okay to have those people that you go to, but don't go to just everybody. Not everyone's going to be happy for you. Not everyone's going to have the same vision as you. You know what I'm saying? Or not everyone's going to see your vision. It's not for them to see. So what I do is, I sit down. I'm like, all right, I write stuff down, write everything down now. Literally at work. My mind is flowing, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, okay, I like this idea, I like this. And then maybe, if I'm like, all right, maybe I need a suggestion here, like just from the public perspective, like, because I'm putting on an event, for example, let's say events. I'm putting on an event for the people. So I need to know, for the people's perspective, do you think, like, not because I need your approval, but simply because, hey, I'm putting this on for the people. Do you think would this be a little too much, or what would you like to see at this event, blah, 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 like certain little details, So I try not to go to multiple people. And if I go to people, I limit it. I used to go to everybody, but I go to like maybe 2-3 people or something, if that, credible people.
Yeah.
So how do I make a decision? Like, so we're going back to that, right?
Yeah.
How do I make a decision? It gets hard sometimes because I'll get it all up in my head. And I'll be like, this is not good. I'll just like overthink everything. Like, should I do this? Okay, no, maybe this person gave me, and like I said, going back, don't seek too many opinions, because somebody might say, hey, maybe you should do this. And then you'll start thinking about doing that. You'll be like, man, you're right. And then I'll start all of a sudden going out of my budget. Like, I'm like, oh, I should do this. It's hard because my biggest problem was seeking multiple opinions to the point where I could not make a decision. I'm getting better, but there are still days where I'm just like, should I do this? I'll doubt myself, and I'm very talented. It took me a while to admit to that, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I need to be confident in my greatness and my gifts, my talents and everything. I see the success in front of me. I see, I see the events every time, how great they are, whatnot, and that's humbly speaking. So why do I need to seek the opinions of other people? You know what I'm saying? And so it gets hard because sometimes I feel like my mind gets a little clouded. And yes, sometimes it's hard to make decisions, but I make them. And at the end of the day, what I want goes. Bottom line.
The reason why I ask, because I know my own personal triggers, because I know that usually the things that I want to get done, if I don't get it done, or at least if I don't actually put it in the action, I know that's my trigger. That if the whole, I put all this effort into coming up with a plan, and then when I actually don't actually accomplish it, that's when those depressive thoughts start hitting me the hardest, because like, either because I usually try to work with other people, and when it doesn't work out, that's where I'm like, all right, I'll fall back. And they've noticed it before, where I'm like, you know what, this is where he falls back in. I usually try to I do my thing in order to get out of it, but sometimes it's like maybe 2 steps forward, 5 steps forward, and then like 20 steps back. Because I really get knocked out for a while. So I'm working on that. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm working on myself for that. But
does it have anything to do with, like, for example, say you're working with people, you had a specific idea in mind, and then they come about with something, but then you wish you would have went with your first instinct or something like that?
It's never really that. It's more along the lines like, I procrastinate.
It happens to the best of us. I do too.
And then because of, it's like, do it. Yeah, it's like, do it. And then it's like, when the final day comes, it's like, it just never works out.
I've planned an event in 1 week simply because of my procrastination. Thankfully, they still turn out pretty good, but, had I planned it in advance or whatnot, it would have been even better.
Right.
So.
But I think some people just have, like, me personally, I have that, like you throw me in something short time, I'll make it happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I could, to me, like, put me in a firing squad like that, I'll make it happen. Because my bells will start going off and everything will start. And then me, like a person, I always try to look down the line to see what I want to see out of everything. Mm-hmm. And I always try.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I just don't like, it's not like something that's just going to like just pop up. Mm-hmm. I always, even like when I'm at work, it's the same way. I see a vision, what I want, and I just act towards it. Mm-hmm. And I always give myself a deadline. And I think that's the thing, we should give ourselves a deadline. Mm-hmm. Like, even though you have a week to plan it, like, I want to get done like 2 days out. Yeah. If anything happens, okay, boom. I know I got to fix X and I got to fix Y.
Absolutely.
So I'm not waiting until the last minute to get, oh, crap, where's X and Y? Mm-hmm. Then you have an issue. So, and that's the biggest thing you always talk about too, is writing stuff down. Like, writing stuff down is a key thing, man. Yeah. Like, when I work, I have these pads in my thing, I just start writing. And I just start crossing them out as I go.
I can't tell you how many notebooks I have at home filled with ideas. But now I have 2 solid notebooks where I'm just like, okay, this is my idea. This is my mental health book, things pertaining to mental health. And this is my other book for like my creative things, So I'm starting to organize it now because I have so many different books. And so many different notebooks. And it's not so bad because you get to look back at your progress. You know what I'm saying? You get to look back and like, this is where I was before. I have journals. I have different books with ideas and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is what I want to do. I crossed this off. Oh, this is what I want to do. Oh, let me bring that back alive. Let me bring this vision back alive. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so important to have.
So you planning on writing a book?
Well, thank you. I received that. I didn't really, not really.
Why not?
I received that. I don't know. Possibly, but I'm not saying that I had things that I was writing for a book now, but possibly I have thought about it. I truly have thought about it. So that's funny that you said that because I have thought about that. Mm-hmm. Like writing a book about being in your 20s simply because of that. So
struggles.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, do you think the struggles in your previous or in your younger days are more, I guess, effective or affect you now than the new struggles that you have today, to this day?
Do I think that my previous struggles, like when I was a kid, adulthood, or just...
Yeah, because like we tend to say that we have more things now, more resources now to help us.
Absolutely.
But like back then, like the times that we came from, I think they made us a little mentally tougher than the generation of today. Like back in the days, you had mothers that had children and they would do what they had to do. They would go to work, they would come home and be mom, they would, do what they had to do and still like raise families on their back. And to me, like nowadays, it's like these women nowadays, they'll have a baby and they'll give the baby to their grandma. They give the baby to another family to raise.
Like grandma's love, though.
Yeah, I mean, but my point being is that I think that like the generation that we came from, I'm not gonna even touch on like suicides and things back then, and the bullying back then, but I think we were a little bit more resilient back then. Than this generation now.
I disagree with that. Wow. I respect you for what you said, but I just feel like it wasn't because they didn't have access to internet. There's a lot of things that, or at least social media back then, a lot of things that they were dealing with. Because there's a lot of cases, if you even look, it's like, yo, a lot of this could have been avoided if they had social media, in a sense. Because
that's what I mean. We have a lot more resources.
It's like in a sense that it's not that you're more resilient. It's just that you either accept what's given to you, or you just find your own way. But usually the way was a little harder. But because less access, but I wouldn't say it made it was.
I just think the mentality.
I think I'm not saying that right, but it's just I don't there's still a situation now that people going through that. It's like, yeah, your life was tough, but I'm really going through certain things that your toughness is just baby it's just like a cakewalk for me. I'm not trying to downgrade what you went through. It's just because there's still people nowadays who living a far rougher life than me or your forefathers ever have lived. So that's why I can't say like your life is better or more rougher or your upbringing was a lot. You see, it's a
Yeah,
lot
no, I'm
different.
not. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying with the plethora of information and resources that we have
today.
Yeah, I don't think that it was around back then. And I think back then, you know, it forced a breed of people. You know, like when they say you have like a pure breed dog, and if the pure breed dog eats like something like chocolate, it'll just die. But you had a mutt that would go around and eat from garbage can to garbage can, and they built up a resilience to certain things, and nothing would kill them.
Oh, okay, I see.
That's what I'm kind of likening things to now. I'm kind of likening things to, you know, like back then, man, you had to really put somebody in the dirt. You had to really put a coffin on them and put some nails in that coffin for them to like not even try and scratch and claw. They still scratching and clawing out that coffin to get out. Nowadays, you could just like lay somebody down and they'll lay down and they'll get a pillow and they'll get comfortable and they'll go to sleep. They won't even fight back. You could take away somebody's internet and they'll lay down. You could, I mean, it's certain things. It's certain things. You could back then if you took away our toys, we'll go out and play with rocks.
Yep.
Like dude, there's a certain mentality that we had. You had to do. We had a very creative imagination. We wouldn't put ourselves in a box, and nobody could really put us in a box. It was just the mentality that we had. I'm not trying to say that people in this day and age don't have it. But I just think the percentages and the numbers, we were a little bit more like tougher or resilient back then. And I think it's because of the lack of things that we had that made us come out that way. I'm not saying it's book by law. I'm not saying it's the truth, but I just feel that that's kind of like what I feel like how a lot of us, became a little bit more resilient than this new generation. I don't know.
I'm trying to fully get it because I'm trying to fully get like the question, because I think what I'm gathering from this is basically okay. What I'm gathering from this is, are you asking like do I like just in general, do I think or do we think that we had it like, was it harder back then? Are you asking like if it was harder back then versus now?
Well, yeah, like what I was saying, because of your upbringing and your youth and dealing with the problems that you were dealing with now, or now that you're more mature and you're dealing with more grown-up responsibilities than before. So which one is,
I feel like as I grew up, it got harder because I was a kid. So I was somewhat aware of what I was going through, but still not all the way. But it hit me harder because when I finally went to a therapist at 23 years old, I realized that there were things in my childhood that were left undealt with.
And that's the big thing.
There were things then, and unfortunately, that's a bad. I mean, now it's not so bad because I got to deal with those things, and I realized why I would act out the way I would act out, like why I would keep people in my life that didn't deserve to be in my life because I was rejected, and back then I didn't have people in my life. So once I get a person in my life, like it could be a bad relationship or a bad friendship, relationships in general. I won't say specifically just relationship, but I'll be like, okay, this person's in my life. I'm going to keep them in my life. I know they've done such and such and XYZ. I'm not perfect,
So you recycle them.
In a sense, yeah, like I'll keep them around because back then I didn't have, when I was growing up, I did not have someone around. I did not have, for example, okay, when I was younger, the boys didn't like me, or the popular girls weren't my friends, or I was, you know, everybody would pick me last for, you know, in PE and stuff like that. You know, just little rejection things. I was rejected. So once I hate using the word attention, but once I got that attention from someone wanted to be my friend, or someone, you know, or a boyfriend, whatever, I would, even if they were not good for me, you know, I would keep them around because I didn't have that. So, yeah, I got to learn my triggers.
Definitely.
Triggers, that's a key thing. We talk about the root of things, but what about the triggers?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We got to know our triggers. That's super important because, yeah, we know our the root of things, but you got to know your trigger. You got to know what to stay away from. You have to know what sets you off and stay away from that, or learn to deal with that. Your trigger could be your own family. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
And
don't you think your trigger could be your own self?
Absolutely. Your trigger can be yourself to an extent because of maybe decisions you make or something. Constant decisions that you make, like the same decisions over and over again, and it drives you crazy, and it's like, man, will I ever change? And you kind of get in your head like that. That's happened to me because I have made the same decisions time and time again. It's like there were certain times where that's happened to me, and I'm like, Ashley, will you ever change? Like, is there hope for me? And that's when I have to activate my positive self-talk, not justifying my behavior or the fact that I keep making those decisions, but am I going to beat myself down? What is that going to do? I already feel bad about myself right now, right? Am I going to keep beating myself down and make it worse? So I'm going to put my own negative thoughts on top of those negative thoughts? No, I'm going to give myself positive self-talk and tell myself, there's hope. You're going to be fine. You're going to make the right decision one day. This is not your last stop. You're going to be okay. But going back to that, the question you asked earlier, I found it harder growing up. Like when I'm in my 20s, I found it harder because I pretty much had to raise myself. Like I had to teach myself certain things. You know what I'm saying? My mom couldn't teach me those things. Like things that I wanted, she couldn't teach me that. Not that she wasn't equipped with it, but she just didn't know. Right. You know? And I believe my parents probably went through their own fair share of, I'm not going to diagnose them, but they probably went through their fair share of things, you know, too. They weren't aware because the resources are plentiful, you know, right now, as opposed to back then. And imagine, I'm Haitian Jamaican, so I have a Jamaican father, Haitian mother. My mom, but my mom, like I said, she's Americanized. she's Americanized, but her mom wasn't. her dad wasn't. Right. So they're gonna ask you, why are you crying? I'll never forget. I love my grandmother, but it rest in peace to her. I love her. But let me tell you, I had a boo-boo, and I'm pulling this out because I have my cut. You guys can't see it. I don't know why I even took off my watch. But I have a scar right here. I'll never forget my grandma. I said, Grandma. Dirt on it. I'll never forget. I said, Grandma, I'm bleeding. You know, she told me, why? What did you do? Man, go cover it. She didn't say, Ashley, oh my gosh, she didn't panic. Mind you, my trip, I'll never forget that. Mom was on a business trip in Chicago, so I couldn't even call her, nothing. My grandma's like, that's good for you. What'd you do? You know, and that's what I'm talking about. I grew up in a Caribbean house. Yeah, exactly. Like so imagine you telling them I'm extremely sad. She gonna be like, all right, go to sleep. Drink some tea. Drink some tea.
You know I used to hate with football. He'd be like, yo, coach, it hurt, you go walk it off. What? What you mean walk it off? It hurts. You just got a stinger. Go walk it off.
Basically, walk till it don't hurt no more.
How you gonna walk something off, coach? Just go walk it off. All right, coach.
But to end off that right there, I mean, to end that off, the whole thing, like, just, I think therapy is so important. It helped me. I remember, if it's okay for me to talk about that right now.
Go ahead.
I remember when I first told somebody I was going to therapy, I had to really get into the mentality of telling someone I was going to therapy, right? So I was at church one day. We had a noon prayer on Wednesdays. And so I just left noon. I was leaving noon prayer. My friend was like, do you want to go to Chili's? I was like, the spot. I used to go to Trinity. And so that was like the spot we go to Chili's after all the time. And so she's like, you want to go to Chili's? I was like, no, I have to go to therapy. She's like, physical therapy? I said, not a bone in my body's broken. I'm going to behavioral therapy. She's like, oh, okay. And this is one of my best friends. So she wasn't judging me, but she was kind of shocked. She knew I was going through stuff, you know? But
she's judging you to her family.
You said what now?
She definitely judging you.
That's one of my best friends. She okay. She all right. But yeah, it was kind of shocking to her. She's like, "You're going to therapy?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to therapy now." You know what I'm saying? And therapy really helped me. I don't go to therapy right now. I'm gonna start going back though. But going to therapy really helped me. It, like, more than anything, you could talk to your best friends and everything. Your best friend, believe me, I have some cutthroat best friends. They will tell me the truth. They'll comfort me, they'll love on me, they'll hug me, whatever I need, but they will also tell me when I'm cutting up, when I'm messing up, you know? And that's the type of people you need in your life. You need the balance. I have I have 4 best friends. I have my main best friend who's in Maryland. She is the nurturer. She is the, okay, Ashley, I don't think this is such a good decision, but I love you and blah, 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 blah. She'll still tell me the truth. You know what I'm saying? Then I have the rest of them are cutthroat. But, you know, you need that balance in your life.
Therapy is going to help you if you let it help you. If you let it help you. Because, like, when I used to get in trouble and I used to have to go see my PO or my counselor or pay women in distress, I'm sitting here like, I'm not thinking about what I'm doing, paying charity to women in distress or anything like that. So it wasn't really doing anything for me. There was no understanding behind it. Yeah. Like the therapists were like, I'll be like, she got me in the room and I got to do a certain amount of hours for a certain amount of weeks. And I'm like, how long is this going to take? As much as I want you to, you know, think it's good for you. And I'm sitting there like, what are you getting from this here? Mm-hmm. Like, what is, like, if you're going to rehabilitate me, how you going to rehabilitate me with that attitude? Mm-hmm. And I was having an attitude because I didn't feel like I was supposed to be there. I was ordered to go there by the court. Mm. So I believe, like, if I was to a place where I was like, I need to be in therapy and I see this problem that is in my life and I need you to help me fix it, it would have helped me more.
Every day I'm above ground. Cause every day above ground is a good day. Instead of fight and quarrel and complain, give thanks and praise is what you should say. Cause every day above ground is a good day. And every day above ground is a good day. Instead of fight and quarrel